Where does mineral-based sunscreen fall within the two categories you just described? Mineral formulas are similar to mineral makeup. They sit on top of the skin, creating a physical barrier that reflects UV rays rather than absorbing them. But in October 2025, the conversation around minerals, skincare, and appearances took a sharp turn because Megyn Kelly stepped out in public and fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. The woman who once dominated Fox News looked almost unrecognizable. Photos began flooding social media, sparking one question over and over again. Is that really her? Plastic surgeons, without ever treating her, immediately began weighing in. One doctor didn't hold back, calling her latest procedures sloppy and pointing out several issues he believed were signs of rushed work. Yet, strangely, Kelly herself has remained silent. No confirmation, no denial, nothing. And what she may be hiding about her recent surgeries has left many people stunned. Megyn Kelly was born on November 18, 1970, in Champaign, Illinois, the youngest of three children. Her father, Edward Kelly, was a professor at SUNY Albany, a man who filled their home with ideas, debates, and a love of learning. Her mother, Linda, managed the household with care, carrying Italian and German heritage that gave their family a blended cultural identity. They live a modest life, but academics were always at the center. Megyn attended Tecumseh Elementary, and even as a child she was quick with words and endlessly curious. When she was 9, the family moved to Del Mar, New York. Life there was quieter, but her father ensured their home was filled with constant discussion, politics, education, world issues, each night around the dinner table. These lively debates taught Megyn how to argue confidently and think critically. She stood out early, not because she was loud, but because she was sure of herself. Religion also shaped her early years. With her father's Irish Catholic background, the family rarely missed Mass. Megyn joined youth groups and rituals, developing a strong sense of right and wrong. Although her relationship with faith shifted later in life, especially after profound personal pain, those early church years gave her a calm resilience and a moral grounding. In high school at Bethlehem Central, she embraced a different kind of spotlight. She became captain of the cheerleading squad in 1985, planning events and pep rallies with the same energy she later brought to primetime television. She played basketball and field hockey too, gaining discipline and grit. Bullying in 7th grade hurt her deeply, but it also steeled her. She graduated with confidence, earning a place in her high school's Hall of Fame decades later, in 2015. But everything changed in December 1985. Just as her teenage world seemed to be falling into place, tragedy struck. Her father died suddenly of a heart attack at just 47 years old. Megyn was 15. It happened 10 days before Christmas. One moment he was sitting on the couch looking at the tree, and the next he was gone. Her mother, in shock, had to return to work, taking a nursing job at a veterans hospital to keep the family afloat. That devastating night became a permanent dividing line in Megyn's life. The grief stayed with her, but so did the lesson. Nothing in life is promised. If you want something, you fight for it. In 1988, she applied to the renowned SI Newhouse School at Syracuse University, but was rejected due to limited space. So she pivoted and enrolled at the Maxwell School, majoring in political science. She didn't sulk, she adapted. She joined the debate club, learning to argue with evidence rather than emotion. One professor, Robert McLeod, encouraged her to dig deeper into every issue, reinforcing the intellectual toughness that later made her a formidable journalist. From 1988 to 1992, she interned at WSYR in Syracuse. It was just a local station, but for Megyn it felt like a starting line. She produced political segments, interviewed local figures, and learned how media could shape public thinking. Those early experiences planted a seed that would eventually grow into her career pivot. In 1992, she began law school at Albany on a partial scholarship. Critical support after her father's passing had stretched the family finances thin. She excelled quickly, editing the Law Review, joining student government, and serving on panels dealing with faculty harassment issues. Summers were spent crafting moot court briefs, rewriting arguments tirelessly. In 1994, she won Best Individual Advocate in a First Amendment moot court competition, a sign of the fierce preparation that would define her professional life. After graduating in 1995, she waited tables while studying for the bar exam. She was nearly $100,000 in debt, working long shifts with unpredictable tips. But she passed the bar on the first try and landed a job at Jones Day in New York. Her starting salary of $85,000 was substantial for the time, but still dwarfed by her loans. Megyn didn't drift. In her first year, she billed over 3,000 hours, far more than the typical 2,000-hour expectation. Nights, weekends, holidays, she worked through them all. She represented major corporate clients like General Electric. The pace was brutal. She later joked it was like winning a pie-eating contest where the prize was more pie. In 1997, she transferred to Chicago to work on securities litigation, including defending a major insider trading case involving Merrill Lynch. Millions were at stake. Her role was to dissect complex evidence, prepare witnesses, and build airtight arguments. The pressure was intense, but she thrived. By 2001, she was in Washington, D.C., handling appellate work. One case challenged EPA rules on air pollution, an issue with national implications. The brief she co-wrote was cited in legal journals. These weren't small cases. They were the kind that influenced policy. In 2002, she moved to Bickel and Brewer in Chicago and led a class-action lawsuit against a pharmaceutical company accused of false advertising. It became one of Illinois' largest cases of its kind. Hundreds of plaintiffs, millions of dollars. Megyn was at the center, commanding the team. For a lawyer less than a decade out of school, it was rare. But something inside her was shifting. After the 9th of November, she found herself glued to news coverage. Seeing reporters on the front lines stirred something in her. She wanted to help shape the stories being told, not simply argue the legal aftermath. Burned out and craving purpose, she created a demo tape, just her, on camera, explaining legal issues in plain English. She filmed it using her firm's equipment, mailed it to stations, and waited. In March 2003, she took a leap. She moved to Washington, D.C., with no contract, just a freelance position at WJLA-TV. It wasn't glamorous, but Megyn Kelly had never needed glamour to prove herself. By November 2, 2004, election night, she was reporting live from Ohio, the swing state holding the nation in suspense. In freezing temperatures, she questioned voters directly and sharply. CNN executives later admitted they regretted not hiring her when they had the chance. That night marked not only George W. Bush's re-election, it marked Megyn Kelly's arrival. By 2005, she was covering the Supreme Court during one of the most intense periods in recent memory. Samuel Alito's nomination triggered fierce national division. Kelly wasn't reading scripts. She was digging through legal records, questioning senators, and interviewing experts. In January 2006, she asked Alito directly if he would overturn Roe v. Wade. That clip aired everywhere. CNN President Jonathan Klein later said she was the one talent he wished he'd stolen. But Fox moved faster. That summer, she broke one of the year's biggest political stories, the resignation of Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. Even insiders hadn't expected it. Her scoop went national overnight. Fox News hired her full-time shortly after. In 2007, she joined Bill Hemmer on America's Newsroom. The show's audience climbed by 20%, reaching 1.43 million viewers. That same year, she grilled Senator John McCain on his campaign inconsistencies. No softball questions, no hesitation. Viewers took notice. In 2008, she filled in on Special Report during the financial crisis. Her panel on the proposed $700 billion bailout became a viral moment. She demanded accountability from both sides, not something typically seen on cable news. By 2010, she was hosting America Live, doubling the show's length and increasing ratings by another 20%. But her most memorable moment came on October 2nd, when she held up 6 fingers on live TV. The White House claimed its healthcare rollout was successful. Kelly had the real numbers. Only 6 people had enrolled that morning. The clip exploded online. The administration scrambled to respond. In 2011, she confronted Fox executives about equal pay. Her ratings matched top male anchors, but her salary did not. She threatened to leave. Fox caved. Her victory led to raises for other women at the network. In her memoir, Settle for More, she called this one of her proudest achievements, not for the money, but for the change it forced. In 2012, she returned to political coverage, analyzing the Biden-Ryan vice presidential debate. She challenged Ryan with data and projections, surprising even conservative viewers who expected a gentler approach. But Megyn didn't bend to anyone's expectations. On October 7, 2013, she debuted The Kelly File at 9 p.m. Her first guests were Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras, the journalists behind Edward Snowden's NSA leaks. It was their first television interview. Kelly had stepped into primetime by diving straight into one of the most explosive stories in modern history. That first episode didn't just introduce a new show, it announced a new force. She was confident, fearless, and unwilling to play safe. By November, even a light-hearted segment on holiday decorations, centered on the so-called war on Christmas, pulled in 2.7 million viewers. Megyn Kelly had become one of the most powerful personalities in cable news. Kelly interviewed store owners, analyzed changes in holiday displays, and guided viewers through the cultural debate that Fox News had been fueling for years. Whether audiences agreed with her or not didn't matter. They watched. The numbers made that segment one of the most successful episodes of her show's first year. The so-called war on Christmas didn't just generate outrage, it delivered ratings. And Kelly was positioned squarely at the center of it. But she didn't stop there. In December 2013, she ignited a much larger controversy. Responding to a Slate article that suggested Santa Claus should be depicted more inclusively, Kelly looked directly into the camera and said, "Santa just is white," adding that Jesus was a white man, too. It wasn't framed as a joke. She insisted it was historical fact. The backlash was immediate. Historians, commentators, and cultural critics quickly pointed out that neither Santa Claus, based on St. Nicholas, nor Jesus of Nazareth were white in the way she described. The story exploded across news outlets and social media. Some labeled her comments ignorant, others called them racist. But no one ignored them. For weeks, the controversy dominated headlines and became one of the most defining moments of her entire career. By April 2014, even Time magazine took notice. They named her to their list of the 100 most influential people in the world. Her on-air style had already become a signature. Direct questions, sharp stays, no filler. Time praised her for her ability to fact-check guests in real time, particularly during an interview in which she confronted a climate change denier using EPA data on live television. Just a year earlier, she was still mostly under the radar. Now she shared space with presidents, scientists, and CEOs. Her rise wasn't just swift, it was strategic. She chased moments that mattered, and her next one came soon. In 2015, Kelly steered her show into deeper territory. After Rolling Stone published, and later retracted, a discredited article about rape at the University of Virginia, many expected Kelly to attack the media. Instead, she examined how colleges across the country handled sexual assault cases. She invited experts, presented data, and asked what was truly happening inside university systems. Instead of amplifying scandal, she broadened the conversation. Her coverage led to national discussions about campus safety and even prompted some schools to revisit their internal policies. It was a rare moment when a cable host used a controversy not to escalate outrage, but to illuminate a larger issue. Then came Cleveland. On August 6, 2015, Megyn Kelly took her place as moderator at the GOP presidential debate. One of her first questions went directly to Donald Trump. She asked him about past comments in which he called women fat pigs, dogs, and worse. The audience stirred. Trump didn't like it. Hours later, he posted online that she had blood coming out of her wherever. Some interpreted it as a jab at menstruation. Trump later insisted he meant her eyes or nose, but the damage was done. News organizations erupted. Political commentators condemned the remark as sexist. Suddenly, Megyn Kelly was at the center of a political firestorm she had not asked for. The consequences extended beyond headlines. In the weeks following the debate, Kelly received more than 1,000 death threats. Some were so specific and violent she had to cancel public appearances. The FBI became involved. On air, she revealed, visibly shaken, that she was under federal protection. Even family trips, including one to Disney World, required full-time security. Fox executives warned Trump's campaign that if anything happened to her, the backlash would be enormous. But the threats didn't stop. And for the first time, the job carried a frightening personal cost. Every time she entered the studio, she knew someone might be watching for all the wrong reasons. In January 2016, she drew another line. When Trump refused to participate in the Iowa GOP debate, Kelly refused to moderate without him. His absence hurt ratings, but she didn't back down. Fox News publicly defended her, calling Trump's attacks extreme and sick. Chairman Roger Ailes issued a statement declaring she would remain on the debate stage. That night became more than political theater. It symbolized journalistic resistance, a reporter refusing to yield to a politician's ego, and a network supporting principle over viewership. The feud had moved far beyond policy disagreements. That same year, Kelly released her memoir, Settle for More. In it, she pulled back the curtain on her off-camera interactions with Trump. She described phone calls filled with shouting, offers of special treatment, jet rides, hotel stays, and attempts to influence her coverage through charm, intimidation, and sexual remarks. At one point, she wrote that he warned her about the power of his beautiful Twitter account. Her voicemail flooded with insults, her email inbox filled with threats. The book didn't simply tell her side. It documented how personal the pressure had become. Meanwhile, a far more dangerous situation was unfolding behind the scenes. In 2016, former anchor Gretchen Carlson filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against Roger Ailes, then the powerful CEO of Fox News. Kelly initially supported her privately, speaking with Carlson off-air. But eventually, Kelly stepped forward publicly, revealing her own experiences with Ailes' harassment. It was a risky move. Ailes was still one of the most influential figures in media. But Kelly told the truth. Her testimony helped tip the balance in the internal investigation that ultimately forced Ailes to resign. The fallout shook the entire organization, and it began with her decision to speak. Then came NBC. She walked into the network with a $69 million contract, the kind of deal rarely seen in television news. Signed in January 2017, it wasn't just a salary, it was a statement. NBC believed in her enough to place her among the highest-paid anchors in TV history. CEO Jeff Zucker even called the deal a game-changer. Kelly was set to host the 9 a.m. hour of Today and lead a primetime Sunday news magazine. But instead of a breakthrough, what followed looked more like a slow-motion collapse. Ratings dropped. Production costs exploded. Within 19 months, NBC had seen enough. They paid her nearly $30 million simply to leave. Media outlets were stunned. A $30 million payout for a show that lasted less than 2 years became an instant cautionary tale for networks signing splashy talent deals. Her first major Sunday episode in June 2017 set off alarms. She chose Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist who called the Sandy Hook massacre a hoax, as her debut interview. She challenged him and confronted his claims, but the damage was done. Sandy Hook families were outraged. Sponsors pulled out. Ratings plummeted. By her 9th episode, viewership had fallen to 3.1 million. NBC canceled the show. The decision to give Alex Jones a platform followed her like a shadow. 3 months later, in September 2017, she launched Megyn Kelly Today. Her first guest was Jane Fonda. It should have been light morning show fare. Instead, Kelly asked Fonda about her plastic surgery. Fonda paused, stayed, and made her displeasure clear. She redirected the conversation, but the damage was immediate. Headlines blared. The awkwardness became a symbol of Kelly's uneasy fit in the morning show world. Tension with guests became a recurring issue, and her signature intensity often clashed with the softer tone NBC expected. Then came October 2018. During a discussion about Halloween costumes, Kelly questioned why blackface was considered offensive, citing how people dressed in the 1970s. The comment exploded across the internet. All Roca condemned it immediately. Viewers were furious. Advertisers vanished. Within 2 days, NBC suspended her. She apologized on air, but the outrage was too intense. Her show was canceled. She was fired by the end of the month. Despite everything, NBC was still legally obligated to honor her contract. Another $30 million walked out the door. Her high-profile jump from Fox had become a cautionary tale in media circles. But the turmoil wasn't only professional. Behind the scenes, her marriage to novelist Doug Brunt was under strain. When his book Camelot was released in 2019, rumors spread that it hinted at real-life infidelity. On her podcast in 2022, Kelly spoke about emotional betrayal and how it can be more painful than physical affairs. The timing aligned with reports that the couple had met with divorce attorneys. She never confirmed anything, but friends reportedly said she discussed it in therapy. The stress of her career seeped into everything else. Her biggest struggle, however, was with her own identity. NBC wanted soft interviews and friendly chatter. Kelly wanted confrontation, intensity, and edge. By 2018, she was clashing with producers, frustrated that she couldn't conduct the tough interviews she built her reputation on. It wasn't just a stylistic mismatch. It was a fundamental clash of purpose. She wasn't built for fluff, and NBC wasn't built for her fire. Even before the blackface controversy, she was exhausted. After giving birth to her third child, Thatcher, in 2017, she was waking up at 4 a.m. for live broadcasts. Leaked internal emails showed her pleading with NBC for a schedule adjustment. She said she was barely functioning, sleep-deprived, parenting 3 young children, and overstretched. The polished anchor image began to crack. After she left NBC, the drama kept coming. In 2019, a network executive filed a lawsuit claiming she demanded private jets and other extravagant perks. Kelly denied the claims as exaggerated relics from her Fox days. The case was dismissed, but it added another layer to the public narrative. Chaos seemed to follow her. In September 2020, she tried something new. No networks, no executives, no filters. She launched The Megyn Kelly Show as a podcast. Her first guest was Donald Trump. The episode was explosive. She produced the show from her Manhattan home with a tiny team. One assistant reportedly worked from a beanbag on the floor. But the raw, unpolished format worked. In its first year, the show surpassed 10 million downloads. She joined SiriusXM in July 2021. By January 2025, she had 3.22 million YouTube subscribers and was outperforming major media platforms. In October 2025, she signed a new multi-year SiriusXM deal, moving her show to Channel 111, replacing the old Triumph channel. It cemented her status as a one-woman media empire. She even interviewed Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth before his confirmation hearing. The new deal let her run things entirely on her terms. Bold, unfiltered, and free from corporate oversight. That same year, she opened up about her appearance on air. She admitted she loved Botox but claimed she avoided fillers. Fans compared older and newer photos. Plastic surgeons weighed in, pointing to what they believed was a rhinoplasty. One surgeon said her nose showed signs of wonky nostrils and called the results sloppy. She neither confirmed nor denied it, but speculation spread quickly. Critics highlighted the irony, noting a history of commenting on the appearances of others. Then Don Lemon escalated the discussion. On his podcast in October 2025, he said she looked chopped and trans-looking. The fallout was immediate, over 500,000 reactions. Many said he crossed a line. Even LGBTQ+ activists criticized him. Kelly responded on her own show, defending people's right to choose how they look. The feud reignited old tensions, and social media turned it into yet another battleground. Amid all the noise, something far more personal cut through. In October 2022, her oldest sister Suzanne died suddenly of a heart attack at 58. Kelly stepped away from her show. When she returned, she spoke openly about grief, therapy, and the complexities of their relationship. Suzanne had struggled with addiction and financial hardship. Kelly admitted she felt guilty for not being closer. She used her platform to talk about loss, regret, and healing. For once, the spotlight softened.